Good morning, everybody. Welcome to VMWareExplore, to our session managing Linux endpoints with Workspace ONE UEM. Let's introduce ourselves. My name is Johan Dijkstra. I'm a senior consultant at Orange Business, vExpert EUC, vExpert Pro, and doing everything with VMware products, Workspace and VDI. And this is my colleague.
My name is Mikhail Zuskov. I'm IT architect working with everything around end-user computing.
Today, we have the following agenda. The why question. We're going to talk about the technical requirements, tell some information about the enrollment, management, roadmap features, and feature requests. And in the end, we have time for some questions and answers.
So let's start with why, and it's a rather rhetorical question. Why do we use Linux? Well, we use Linux already for ages. It's small, stable, we can use it almost everywhere. And it's more about how we use Linux. And the first thing that will come in mind is the Linux-based endpoints, the thin clients. The other thing is that we have things like ordering boards where you can put an RFID tag on it and will reorder supplies that you need. You have handheld scanners of all types. We got all other types of embedded devices for smart city, for whatever you can think of. All those systems, they need to be managed somehow. We need to provision certificates for a single sign-on for Horizon Workspace. We need to deploy operating system updates. We need to monitor the system state. And that's quite important for enterprise means. Well, next to that, the Linux is making its way into the enterprise. The Windows is no longer dominant, fortunately for us. And it's growing and growing beyond the traditional admins and the data analytics, the business analytics, security, and designers. They all choose Linux even instead of Macs. So why we need to manage that? We have a lot of enterprise scale products like Puppet, Chef, Ansible, which are really great, but they have one thing in common. They are built around a data center or at least in a local network connection. So, which means that with the current modern workspace, we can't really use them right now. It's just because our devices are unplugged. Since the last 5 years, people are no longer glued to their workplace. They are everywhere. And we need something else. And well, we have an industry-leading, I could say, solution to manage all our workspace, including the Linux.
Well, and what do you need by technical requirements to use this? Well, Linux management is only available on SaaS to start with. Any Linux distribution, running on x86, x64, ARM5 and ARM7 are supported, and the device must be running System D or System V. Those are the technical requirements. For enrollment, we have two enrollment methods: web-based enrollment and hub-based enrollment. And we have two demos. We're going to demonstrate both ways of enrollment. The web-based enrollment works as follows. We go to the portal tenant, where we log in. We fill in our group ID to start the enrollment. We continue, we log in with our credentials. Typing a little bit slow. Okay. Well, in the portal, we select which device ownership. We do corporate now. We accept the terms of use. We select the correct installer. Depends which architecture you use. We go to the download page and download the Workspace ONE installer hub. One important factor is that you need to close the browser before you do the installation. We open the terminal, we go to the downloads folder in which we have downloaded the installer. We do sudo apt install and install the intelligent hub. When it's installed, yeah, you see all the things coming by. When it's installed, it should be enrolled. So after this, we should be okay. You also see it uses Puppet. Okay, it's installed and we're enrolled, and that's the web-based enrollment.
Yeah, and this recording is not cut, not accelerated, so it takes below 2 minutes to enroll the system without any additional actions.
Yeah. Now we go to the hub-based enrollment, and the hub-based enrollment is we download the installer from the website, we install the intelligent hub, and with the intelligent hub we do command line enrollment. So we're going to the web browser again, we go to my.workspaceone.com, and from there we can install the intelligent hub. We go to the downloads page, Workspace ONE Intelligent Hub. We select the platform, Linux, of course, app version. We speed it up a little bit for the time. Yeah. We download the installer. And this is a two-step approach. First, we go to the downloads folder. There, we're going to install the Workspace ONE Intelligent Hub, same way as the other. Then we're not ready yet. We need to enroll the device. So it's installing again. You see this one is running systemd. It goes a little bit quick, but we see in the we do this sudo ws one hub util enroll. We give the server address, the group to which we enroll, the credentials, and we can also do in plain text the password, but that's not really safe. So we leave that. We enter the password. The enrollment starts, and as you can see, we can check the enrollment also with the WS hub util and with the status. And you see the status is enrolled. So with the hub-based enrollment, we're enrolled. And this is two-step phase, basically. With the Workspace ONE hub util, we can enroll, unenroll, we can trigger sensors, do kind of stuffs. With this link, you can see what you can do with all the command line options for the Workspace ONE utility. Then we have profiles. We can use profiles. We have three types. We have two default profiles. That's credential profile, Wi-Fi profile, which contain payloads for those profiles. And for credential profiles, we can use certificates. And for Wi-Fi profiles, we can push Wi-Fi configuration to the devices. And then the third one, that's a custom configuration profile. And with the custom configuration profile, it relies on the Puppet agent, but it is used for installing application, and everything else you can do from the command line.
So yeah, well, important thing is then we got device enrolled, we got somehow packaged. Well, we need to get the applications on there, and in this version of Linux management, we're using the custom profiles, as Johan said, which are triggering the underlying Puppet agent, which is already installed. And we need just to talk to Puppet and send a manifest on what we're going to do. And we can deploy the applications in 3 different ways. First option is to download in our example we're going to show, you download the Debian file from a repository, and you run it. The other option is to use a native distribution package manager like apt or dpkg. And the other option again is the third-party package managers like Snap and Bolt, which have their own installers and they have a own repository. So not everything is in, for example, in a Debian repositories, but you can find more applications in Snap. And again, certain files you will need to download yourself because they are not available in repos. And this is just an example of the payload. That's what you send to a Puppet agent to deploy, in this case, as a download and execute. What we say is we tell to the Puppet agent to go get this specific version of Zoom. And after that, we'll just install the apt install. We'll run apt install. We deploy the Zoom, and it should be running. There is one side note with all the download and execute. You are really dependent on, in this case, the developer, because this is a hard-coded path, and this example is not going to work anymore. Because I was verifying, and this version has been removed from a website. So if you deploy that, and you're stuck. So we need another option which is more dynamic. And in this case, I'm using installing a VLC. It's again, but I'm not downloading anything. The only thing I say is to Puppet go and execute the bash script to actually install the VLC. It will handle everything itself. So it's more like using a Google Play or App Store on the mobile devices. That's quite nice and easy. And we have a short demo recording of how you create a profile. And now, if you have experience with Workspace ONE, you understand you go just to profiles. I have a filter on Linux platform. You create a new profile. You say it's a Linux. We'll give it a name. We deploy it to a smart group. And then we go actually to configure the custom payload. And in this case, we just provide a name. This is going to be the Puppet manifest. And we have two options. We have an installation manifest, and we have a removal manifest. The installation manifest is what I showed on the previous scripts. It's just all the commands we tell to Puppet to deploy. And the removal manifest is also important because when you remove your profile or when you remove the system from that OG or a smart group, the application will be removed, just like with other types of devices. So when we have deployed the profile, just wait a little bit. We see in the console it was deployed. And I was running from a test system. I have a VLC installed. Well, I forgot to add that before that. It was no VLC, so it's a bad magic trick today. Using the third-party package managers is actually the same. It's just we are supplying the command to the Puppet, telling us, use Snap to install Slack, or use Snap to install Zoom. For example, Zoom, we don't have them in standard repositories, but we have them in Snap. Yeah. Yet another option we can do, actually, because this is Puppet, and if you are familiar with bash scripting, you can send anything you want to Puppet and just say a command and do, in this case, for example, sending the command is just to run a distribution upgrade. And I only I'm using the switch if only if to make sure that we just do it once a week. We don't do it on a regular basis. And if you saw the previous profiles, when you deploy Linux apps, sometimes you just need to run the apt-get update before installing the apps, that otherwise the app install might fail. So we have different options in the manifests. So you can do a lot of stuff just by running some bash magic, and we'll touch that a bit later again with next versions.
Then we have some sensors. It is can be handy to know the status of your device. For example, you want to know how many disk space do I have left? What is the status of the battery of the device? What is the temperature of the CPU, GPU, etc. You name it. If you can retrieve data from a device, you can create a sensor for it within Linux. And that information you can get back to the Workspace ONE console. This is what we are going to show now. We're going to the Workspace ONE Hub console. We go to resources, to sensors. There we are going to create a sensor. We say, let's add a sensor. Linux, of course. We give the sensor a name and a description, whatever you want. And this is the payload, the code. And for this demonstration, it is to see how many disk space we have left. Now, we create an assignment to it. We select a device group, smart group, and we click next. Then we have some triggers when the information should be retrieved. You can do it periodically when starting up, etc. For now, we're just forcing a retrieval of the information from the sensor. We go to the device, and we do sensors. And here we have the sensors registered. Now, queue to sync the sensor. We do some refresh. And it's not yet there. We go to the console, and with the Workspace ONE Hub util, we can also see which sensors are being defined. And here is the disk space sensor, and use disk space, and the sensor value is being printed in the console, and you see 41% is being used on that device. And it doesn't matter what you want to retrieve for sensor values. If it is possible with Linux, you can get it in your console. So that's cool. One thing about this is that when you have a sensor, for example, you have a battery sensor, but you have a device which is always on power and does not have a battery, you can have the sensor, but if it does not retrieve sensor data, it will not be shown here. So the first time it retrieves some sensor data, it will be plotted here, but if there's no sensor data, you won't see the sensor here. So, next. Yeah. Well, some do's and don'ts. What I told you before, when you do install the web-based agent, and you're going to install it, before you're going to install it, you need to close the browser. That has to do with the information you fill in the portal, and there that information is stored in a cookie, and the cookie is saved when you close the browser.
It's
and the
a
installer
SAML token what you get when you close the browser. Your SAML token is being written to the cookie, and if you forgot to close it, then installing the hub, it will not automatically authenticate.
No. Best practices, profiles works best with only a single payload. Sensors, sensors are for corporate devices only. So if you have a device for your own, it does not work yet, and that is that's a privacy thing. So only for corporate devices. Raspberry Pi 4, if you're going to install it on a Raspberry Pi 4, that's an ARM7 device, which requires a dep installation file. And beware when using Chromium web browser. We tried it several times. It should be supported, but if you try to download the correct installer, it does not recognize your system. So for when you're going to use the web-based installer, use Firefox instead.
It's a known bug in current release, but it will discover that your Raspberry Pi is actually Mac OS or something.
Yeah.
It will give you something wrong. Okay, so what we showed so far is in the current release. Linux management went GA this year in March, I guess. And we have a lot of things pending in the pipeline. And one of the things, for example, is the app management. It would be great to just upload your deb file or RPM file and to download and run it natively without any additional scripting, or just including your own scripts. Another thing is native scripting. So you're now talking with the Puppet. We need to create a bash. Or we need to find another way to distribute our scripts first. Native scripting from console, like we do it for Macs, like we do it for Windows, is a great feature, which is coming. VMware Tunnel for Linux is GA. The integration from is also coming. The SAML for CLI deployment, so what we showed, the web-based enrollment, it's using SAML token. When we use a command line enrollment, we're using basic authentication. So actually you need to have two OGs where you have basic users and you have integrated OG, otherwise the basic users will still be redirected to SAML and you will not be able to enroll from command line. The SAML authentication for command line is also coming, but it also will have some limitations at first. Sensors in user context, because now all the sensors we have, they are device targeted. Now we can do some sensors in user context. There is one large but about all of this. All these things are already in a beta, but they are all waiting to the modern platform of which is still pending to be released. And what we learned, QA24, it is going to UAT, and end of QA, maybe start of Q2, it will be released to GA as a modern application all these functions, they are developed for new platforms, so they will not work on the current release. We need to wait till they are released. Running with different things, we all know that, okay, we have a great thing, a freestyle orchestrator. We can use it on Windows. We can now use it on macOS. We want to use it on Linux because when you're onboarding users, it's a great thing to do. We now have a GA for macOS baselines. We want to have them on Linux as well. You just download the sys baseline, you upload it to your it saves you months. I hope it will come. The same goes for compliancy policies. And one other thing, if you don't know Puppet, if you try to read the documentation, it's like you forget it because it's like tons of pages and they are not really meant for So we need some proper documentation on Puppet as long as the Puppet integration with will exist. And we're done for today. So if you have questions, we'll be happy to answer. Okay. And so we can talk outside, and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.